Let's begin the tour of the house with our wordsmith, Ndubisi Josiah, with this piece titled Silent Murderer.
Our spoken word today is titled Silent Murderer by Ndubisi Josiah. Lured to the slap of his groins, his soft paws hide his claws, turned into chocolate bars to lure, shrouded in shepherd's garment. Like corn to the village hungry hen, dropped steps on marked target, the beast in him plows in wait to defile the innocent, our mother. The womb that nursed his fetus he raped, desecrated in seconds. Sacred womanhood plagued he, her anguish never to heal again. Shrapnel dent her mattress now, a torn tattered holy veil became her, an outcast in her queenly palace. Lonely, secretly unheard moans. Silent murderer lurking about, raping, aborting her life and dreams. Aloof we stand, laws and institutions. Save women, the womb that suckles us.
The times we're in have given birth to remarkable creations in the art world. Sylvester Aguda used the opportunity of the lockdown to put together what he believes helped him to stay on the positives in the midst of the pandemic. He showcased these works in an exhibition tagged The Times.
Some might think that this procedure will dampen the mood, but it's the new normal. Everyone has to be safe to appreciate the art. Walk into the hall and bright colors greet you. It is the exhibition of works done by Sylvester Aguda, which he has tagged The Times at the Freedom Park. It's about sharing African stories in bright collage and mixed media medium.
In the past 5 months and 6, the whole world has been battling a pandemic. So the Times we put this together just to show people that even with the lockdown, we were still productive. We're still, having getting inspiration or getting inspired to bring out works. So now with the ease of the lockdown and the world is gradually, coming out again, we decided to throw an exhibition to show people what has been on or has been going on since the lockdown.
This exhibition was put together showing that even in the midst of a challenging situation, one can still be creative. The works were put together to put a smile on the faces of the audience rather than dampen the spirit of an art lover. Sylvester Aguda considers himself a God-taught artist. He's had several exhibitions, some of them at the height of the lockdown, done virtually. This is his first solo exhibition after the lockdown. The happenings around the world inspired these creations of beauty. Even though many of them were sad, he chose to dwell on the positives.
Recently we all know what the world has been going through. It's been a very sad moment for everyone. We want to just say thank God for those of us that are still alive, and then thank God for the way God is healing the world, because I feel it's been a very difficult time for some families. And why I decided to do this exhibition is, when you dwell on the negative too much, it kind of affects you psychologically. And talking about myself as an artist, it was very difficult for me to put up anything, in a while. The first 3 months, normally in the year, I would have had like 2-3 exhibitions. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to do anything because of the COVID. Mentally, I was drained. I was psychologically depressed. But one of the things that has worked for me has been the gift of this art. It became like a therapy. It became like medicine for me. So, the times today is just to share with my friends that, yes, in spite of all the downtime, there's still a good side, and which is the fact that we are alive. And for those that are mourning, those that have lost one loved one or the other, I just want to pull out my friends to come here and see something that will make them happy and something that will encourage them and motivate them.
The guest had mixed reactions. Some were awed by the colors and connections to the environment.
His works depicts the everyday struggle of our environment. He tends to relate with climate, he tends to relate with people, and he tends to relate with culture. And you don't really see a lot of Nigerian artists that is so focused and dedicated towards promoting African and Nigerian heritage.
I think for me, it's just seeing faces that I think would resonate with my family. So seeing the women, I love women relationships, and seeing some of the ladies' hair, seeing the bright colors, seeing the different cultures, the different attires, for me just makes me feel warm. It makes me feel appreciative of our culture as well and the diversity in our culture.
And yet others thought the abstracts were the most impressive.
I think he's done his college very well. All the works are neat. They are quite neat. And I really like the abstract works. And I think that the abstract works will make good decorations in offices. Some other works of his, like the masks, is done very well, really. And it almost been at it for 30 years. So he would have been one of the first few artists to start doing collage.
One thing is certain. Sylvester has been able to get all present to see the different sides of the times that we live in, using his art as a therapy to encourage everyone that all will be well.
And on to the online platforms. Many of these artists chose to use their gifts to pay tribute to one who used his craft to shine light on the greatness of the African continent, plus a lot of creativity even in the midst of the pandemic.
While time is one commodity that all humans have, we all use it differently. The artists featured on our online art platforms use their time to create pieces that definitely grab attention and draw you in. Beginning with this one, a ballpoint on pelican piece titled Epiphany by Ogaji Abayomi. Next is a piece done with charcoal and cardboard paper titled COVID-19 Play by Amos Osako. Then comes pieces done as a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, who passed recently. This first one is titled R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther. The artist, Woski Swanky, wants the day Chadwick passed to be Ceasefire Day in respect to the deceased. The second tribute work is by Olufemi Ayodeji with Procreate on iPad Pro. Then comes this third piece by Sela David, asking the late actor to rest in power. Olojede Ifeoluwapo chose to focus on the pandemic with a piece titled Stop the Plague COVID-19, done with acrylic on canvas. In his note accompanying the piece, he asks, will this generation continue to exist? Is this generation going to overcome this deadly attack? He says, Stop the Plague is a call to you and I, a call to every nation, a call to every human race all over the world to come together as one and stop this pandemic. There is hope, as seen in the sculpted woodwork of Tony Owere, which is titled Prospect. Then comes The Bright Future, an oil and canvas piece done by Esther Obiuru. And we end with this oil and charcoal on canvas piece by Yinka Aragbada titled At Her Prime.
It is the storyteller who makes us what we are, who creates history. The storyteller creates the memory that the survivors must have. Otherwise, their surviving will have no meaning. I always begin a novel with outlines, but they change, and so do my beginnings and endings.
On our feedback segment, we asked, how has COVID-19 affected the cost of art materials and your work? Have you had to improvise when creating works of art? And these are the responses we got.
Uchenna Eugene said, yes, it's impacted my recent works. The COVID-19 saga and economic uprising has made me diversify into upcycling. From Gideon Efosa, it has really impacted. I was to buy a Max McWilden machine 300 amps by December 2019 and it was 27,000 at the time. I didn't buy, hoping to buy by early 2020, and then COVID-19 came from nowhere. When I went back post-COVID, everything had doubled. I had to buy 250 amps at 45,000 naira with plenty I beg. Money that ordinarily would buy me a welding machine and a set of metal rods and sheets. Solia Tolopade says, yes, the non-availability of the usual materials due to the lockdown and no movement resulted in the use of waste products from the kitchen and other materials found within, resulting in a series of mixed media paintings. And from Olumide Oluwole, it's yes, it really affected my work. Despite increased price of materials, my charges were extremely low just to put food on the table. Despite that, there was very low patronage. Terrible experience.
Your art house experience doesn't have to end when the show's not on television. Interact with us on any of our social media platforms. See any edition of Art House on Channels TV's YouTube page. Send your works of art to Art House on Channels Television by joining the group on Facebook. We are everywhere.
That's much you can take on Art House for today, but do remember that you can stay in touch with what's happening in the arty world on our social media platforms. But till then, bye-bye.